What's up, everyone? Carmen here with Pittsburgh White Schwartz, coming at you with another deck tech. This week I am going over Kobayashi's Dragonmaid. Seen a lot of down talking about this set, not a lot of hype. I really don't think the set's that bad. If you're really into the property and you picked it up and maybe you're feeling a little down on it, I am here to help. I am here to bring you something that I think is running really well. It might not be running some of the cards that I've seen people gravitating towards, but I can guarantee that it runs super smooth and it plays pretty well into the current Japanese meta. Kobayashi has some few things that it's really good at, and this build is going to emphasize on those things. Just make sure that we can do that game plan every so let's hop over to the actual deck list here. If you are just here for the list, always have the Encore decks link in the description. Definitely give us a like on the way out. That really helps us out. But as you can see, we are playing 8 choice. We are using the ED combo as well as the level 3 Toru, which needs no introduction. We'll go over to that card when we get to it. Super sick. Notably, I am running some cards that you might not have seen in other people's decks. Noticeably, there's some blue in here, and I'm going to get into why as we go through the cards in the deck list. So let's just jump right into it card by card. Obviously, where you're going to run 4 of the level 0 Toru from the trial deck. Every Kobayashi deck will play this card, not just because of the extremely powerful art, but because it is an extremely powerful effect. It is 3,500 with a fake drawback. Opponent Encore 2, one of the fakest drawbacks ever. So it's always 35. You don't have to worry about having low stock, having a large amount of hand or something like that. You can freely tri-field if you need to on follow-up turns if you open this going first without losing your power. And it is a center runner. 3,500 center runners are very well positioned, both in JP and in English. One of the best plussing profiles, being oversized as well as being evasive. But yeah, pretty much every deck's going to be running this card. Moving on, we are playing 4 of the Lukoa, quote-unquote, Ricky. So when this card becomes reversed, you clock yourself on the top of your deck. Notably, you do not have to pay 1. You check up to top 2, and you add a level 1 or lower character or an event of any level. We're only running a level 1 event here, so it doesn't really matter. So a level 1 or lower character event and add it to your hand. So this is free. So it's not a stock out. It's a weird timing on reverse. However, when I was playing without this card, because this card, you know, a lot of people are sus on it. A lot of people don't think it's very good. It is unfortunately the best blue that we have, and it helps you keep up your hand at 0. It is a tri-field enabler, giving you extra stock, just making sure you can add cards to hand. And, you know, because it can add an event, it does sometimes rip you into that event, which can rip you into Climax, which is pretty cool, as well as just being a little bit of extra first deck speed. That's moving through 3 cards. A lot of people play Rizes for the same reason, just to move through extra cards, and this one can actually plus you and add you to hand, as well as make sure you get to level 1 on a good enough timing. It is not a timing in main phase, so you have to be a little bit more conscientious, but I do think after testing, it is a necessary part of the deck to make sure you keep up in hand, get to level 1, and mill a little extra cards out of your first deck. Okay, Afnir Brainstorm. I think this card is probably one of the standout cards in Kobayashi after talking with a couple people, notably Hansen, one of my teammates on Born 1, Paru, a couple other people, my roommate Brandon. Just going over what was most impactful when we were testing different lists. When I was playing 8-bar, the Ilulu stuff and a couple things, this card really stood out. How strong this, like, 8-bar has some problems, this other couple decks have some problems. Let's try to put this into the deck that was already running the best, which was 8 choice, and see if we can shore up some of the problems otherwise, because it's a rest 2 search brainstorm. That's always not ideal. Resting 2 isn't very good, as well as, you know, search brainstorms obviously worse than salvage, especially in a deck where our grave is going to be most of our toolbox, because we're going to be milling and stuff with our combo. Not ideal, but there are a couple things we can do to shore that up. But the reason it's so insane is because it gives all the characters in front anti-run. So when your opponent puts a card across from any card that's in front of this, and you're going to be winning on offense pretty much all the time with Dragonmaid, your opponent can't move that card. If they slam down a card into a position and they want to move it during the main phase, they can't. The card there is locked. It cannot move to another slot. So obviously this means that you can lock down your opponent's runners for your level 1 on reverse combo, which is really nice, because again, a lot of people are running center runners, evasive cards, things of that nature. That means that you never have to deal with that. Good synergy with your level 1, as well as just being annoying all throughout the game. The effect is a lot more annoying. You might think, you might be, can't my opponent just play around that? Can't they do this? Sometimes your opponent's back row is clogged, their back row is set, they want to move cards around or stuff like that. You throw down this, and it does make your opponent have to go through a lot of headaches, or maybe even play over cards cards to achieve plays that they otherwise would be able to do if they weren't able to move cards around. So it's a really nasty disruption effect that we get as a bonus, and wanted to make sure we include this. And it also gives us a really good noted green splash without this card green. It can be pretty cringe to fit, even for just a small splash at level. This is the main card that I wanted to include. It's the card that I think is probably one of the most standout cards in Kobayashi. Moving on to other level zeros, Chiri. 2 count, level 1 or higher Chiri, pretty standard. Some people call this profile Fuka 0, but whatever you want to call it, it's just a way to get through your first deck speed, filter your hand, as well as add level 1 or higher cards to your hand. Again, we are playing that level 1 event, so we can add that with this. Pretty nice. You can turn this into a dig for a climax. We can also use the event, a little bit of synergy here to sack this in main phase, get us some mill, as well as grab our climax, which is pretty nice. But yeah, just a normal 2 count for filter and grabbing level 1 or higher cards. Yashi Saver. This is the exact same text as the one from Symphogear, which is on the ban list. Not as oppressive in this set, obviously, as it was in Symphogear. And Symphogear, you were saving your dumb early plays and then going again, which was really, really nice because it would save you on stock. But here it's still pretty good because we can use the effect to not only ensure our level 1 gets over big standby boards with its 1500 pump, but then we can save our level 1 combo so that we can break down our opponent's board the following turn. I'll get into the level 1 combo when we get to the actual card for the reasons you'd want to play it and how that plays well into the meta. But this is a big, just a little bit extra pump, as well as being, you know, adding that recursion to the deck so that we're able to continually break down our opponent's board. Also pretty good with our early play that we're deciding to play. Makes the power line a little less cringe, make sure that it can win board, as well as being able to save it going into the end game, give you an extra 2 soul beater going into your finisher turn, depending on how your boards play out. So a very good utility card, but you know, not good enough to like run the full or whatever copies this deck. So we're just going to play 2, just mostly as a pump. Then with that little bit of save for our hand as another climax, so we can go off again with a combo. Getting into our one-ofs, there's a lot. We are playing one of the Hana drop search. It is a normal drop search, and then it gives your other character in front row center slot a soul, so you can't play it down like Kokoro from Bang Dream. It can't buff its own soul, but this does make it a lot better if you must field this card to the back row to search out maybe a third combo or a pump that you need to break down your opponent's standby board. It gives you a little bit of extra utility, letting you set up sides and things like that at endgame, as well as not being a card that you feel bad about being stranded in the back row, and then you promote it the next turn, giving you, you know, 2 turns of like that soul assist, which can be pretty nice for pushing a little bit of extra damage, or again, setting up side attacks if you somehow can't win board. So a really nice little utility card, as well as giving us some on-demand deck access. One of this Toru Pump, it is on play, bump another 2k, and then blink your opponent's character. Nice little disruption blink effect, as well as being a nice little pump. Again, nice pump cards. This compared to the back row Saver is a card that can be fielded in the front row and attacked with. You feel really bad putting the Saver in the front row because then you can't tap it and you can't use its Saver effect. So I included this list as sort of like a third pump card at 0, just so that this card can be thrown in an open lane or something like that, as well as giving you pump to get over something else. Blink effect is pretty nice too. It's not as relevant as it once was. I mean, you can like blink your opponent's Rushiar, something like that, anything with a cross turn effect, but not too relevant right now. It's mostly here for the pump. Okay, so because Fafnir is a rest 2 search brainstorm, we need a way to access our grave. We are going to do that with Spammables. So if we have this in the Fafnir in the back row, we still have 2 brainstorms. We can access both zones, and because Spammables can be used even if they are tapped down, it's not going to punish us. And sometimes because we are a choice, it's really good with choice to be able to add stock, especially in a deck like this where you want to use your stock to do meaning things. It's good to have early game multi stock outs. I was trying the 500 power Toru that coin flips to give you a stock, and then on death you can pay to search, but this card was just a better on-demand stock out because, you know, if you're triggering a lot of climaxes, probably also want to mill, might also need to filter, as well as giving you grave access again. So it was just a better stock out in the early game, as well as shoring up our grave selection so that we can grab some of those cards that maybe don't have soul triggers. Again, choice only adding cards to our hand from soul triggers if we use that mode. And lastly, Climax Swap. Climax Swap is an important card for Climax Assurance, especially in a deck like this where our main form of first deck mill is doing our level 1 combo. If we do not hit our level 1 combo, we have a rough time getting through our first deck. So any amount of Climax Assurance is needed for a deck like this. So the TD Toru, if you've been playing English or you've been following the channel or anything like that, this is the exact same text as Ruby. So during your turn, it is 6,500, and then on reverse with the climax, pick up to 4 and give another character K. This profile, which is a Minami, which starting out at 75 is really good at cracking down standby boards. 1/1 start at a 7,500 power, even with a little bit of extra pump. You can either tie with backups or be over their backups, and then cascade that power over your other lanes to make sure you win every single lane at level 1 and forward. The combo scales very well with its high power. You can comfortably use this card at 2 to start continually breaking down boards. If your opponent starts to rebuild, you can play down this combo, get some mill if you need to, get some extra pluses, as well as cracking over your opponent's board. This deck really does play like a Japanese version of 8-door Ruby, with a little bit of extra stuff going there, because again, the top end in 8-door Ruby was never anything very great. It leaned into money counter to sort of stay around, but this has a more aggressive top end, a more traditionally good top end, so that we can play into that breakdown and then just finish, as opposed to breakdown and stall. 8-door Ruby would want. You don't have the level 2 support that Ruby does compared to this, but you have better card quality, well, not better card quality, but different cards around that help support that strategy of cracking down board. You have a lot more pumps in the set, a lot more easily available pumps, so it's a lot easier to break over something like Mushoku, where their power can get really out of control if they have high roll, or even if Mushoku high rolls, Kobayashi can break down their board pretty easily with the availability of very good pumps that you don't really lose anything to include. You don't have to make a deck building concession to include a lot of really strong power pumps. So this combo is super premium, as well as being on a choice. A choice can be a very strong lineup when you have cards to support it, and Kobayashi, thankfully. Other auxiliary level 1s. This Hana is super good, plays directly into our game plan. On play, give one of our other characters 2k, so yet another pump, as well as being a stock bomb. It is that nice 1-0 2500 power line, so it's going to trade with things that are 4k that might go to memory. Chizu, things like that, which is pretty nice, as well as just being a stock bomb. It's a stock bomb that doesn't suck as much into standby, because obviously it's not going to be able to clear costed characters, but it will give you that 2k pump so that you can get your Toru combos over another lane. So you start out at 9-5, get another pump, you might be able to go 10-5 or even higher, swing over, and then cascade over your other lanes, and then trade with some beefy 1-0, something like that, maybe the 1-0 Galen, something of that nature, and then get out of there and clear their whole board. So a really nice card just for extra power, as well as being a bomb that will always trade with our opponent's costless characters. Wanadachi, it is blue. I was playing the 2-1 Elma from the TD that has the memory kick, because that was a pretty cool option, but this one Wanadachi was just always better, because things are sticky and some things just need to get off the board, as well as being a additional just extra blue card, because we're going to level yellow, then we're going to level blue, so blue's the card we want to level at 2. So, you know, being able to play it at 1 is something that we're going to be able to do more games often than not. The Adachi just was a better option. It was online earlier than the Elma. Lastly, here at level 1, the 1-0 event. You choose a character on your board and put it into your waiting rooms. Stack a character, and then you can search your deck for a climax. Like I said, if you do not hit your level 1 combo, do not have any deck speed, so anything to help you get to your climax so that you can ensure that you mill out your first deck and get that good refresh timing like all 1k1 decks would like to do is going to be something that we want. Stacking a character is a big cost, but again, it's paramount that we get through our first deck, paramount that we hit our climax combo, so we are going to run it even though it has that drawback. This is something that when I was playing Ruby and playtesting that was very obvious. When you miss your combo on that deck, when you're playing the DD combo, things start to go very poorly. You don't have a lot of mill outside of your combo. Thankfully, Dragonmaid, it does have something to supplement that so that we can make sure that we hit our combo every time. It's also pretty useful at the top end, so when we have our one little cantrip, which is brought to ditch one, this is just an additional quote-unquote climax at endgame that we can draw into to make sure that we get our combo. So we have 3 climax assurance cards, 2 of this and 1 of the CX swap, just to make sure that we always hit our combos when we need to. Moving on to level 2s, I have been told this card is spicy. However, we talked about Spammables being paired with the Fafnir, but this is just an upgraded Spammable for when your games are going very well. So when you hit level 2, you need knockouts, you're triggering a lot of choices. Maybe your hand's going a little low, you're triggering a lot of climaxes, you need to get through your deck. This is a Spammable plussing Salvage Brainstorm that can be in your back row with the Fafnir. So you tap down for a search if you need something out of your deck, you mill it or something like that, you need something out of your grave as well. You can then start spamming with the Hana to get through your deck as well as add cards to your hand. This is only going to be for your stock rich games where you're triggering a lot of climaxes. However, what this does let you do, let's say you trigger 2 choices in your battle step, but you survive at level 2, you get another level 2 turn after that. It lets you pay out that stock effectively without hurting you too much, because you're going to pay 1 to put the this on the board. Pay 1 for the Spammable. That's 1 choice out of there. And then you can keep going or play an early play or something like that. It can let you pay down that stock in a meaningful way, which is giving you mill, which is giving you pluses, as well as putting down an early play or something of that nature. So you can like stock twice off 2 choices when you have a card like this available, as well as obviously you can add this card to your hand off of choice if you're just going to need some kind of 2-card stock out, because play this down 1, pay out 1, pay out another, pay down to a choice that you triggered on second attack, something like that, as well as giving you a nice little mill. And then on your upcoming turns, after every card this is down, it's just broken because it's a spammable plussing brainstorm that you can use as much as you want to increase the size of your hand selectively. So really cool card. It's definitely not a meme. It's definitely not that spicy when you're playing the Fafnir. It's been a really big overperformer, specifically in this list as a 1 of tech. So I implore that you try it out. 1 Fafnir level assist. You can also rest it to give a character 1k power. Plays right into our game plan of cracking overboard. Our Elma can be pretty small. We're opting to play the Elma early play. So anything that helps keep that around is going to be pretty good. This is sort of like an upgrade to the back row Saver later in the game, because it gives a little bit of constant power. We don't need it in every matchup, but it's there as an option in the matchups we don't need it. We just throw it into our stock with choice, and we never see it ever again, and that's fine. 2, free fresh counter. Why are we playing 2? Because you're only really going to play 1, so that we can throw 1 into our stock with choice. We just need to have more soul triggers, because we are 8 choice. When you don't hit a certain threshold of soul triggers in an 8 choice deck, you will run out of options to use cards, and when the only card in your waiting room that works with your choice is a single free fresh counter and you only play 1, that feels terrible, because the whole point of playing a free fresh counter is when you trigger multiple climaxes in a deck that have climaxes that can salvage cards, that you are able to then use that free fresh counter to save yourself and give a chance to win the game after that terrible bout of luck. So by running 2, we make sure that early game we can throw 1 in stock while still having 1 available late game pick up if things go poorly, as well as just being a 2500 power backup. Can save our Elma in some situations, which is pretty nice. We are playing the Elma early play. Why are we playing the Elma early play? Why aren't we playing any of the Resonate stuff? It's because the Resonate stuff is bad. I think the Resonate stuff is one of the reasons why people think that Kobayashi's is underwhelming, because you are playing a set that naturally, if you look at the cards, even in this deck that we're playing, as I hop back over to the slide temporarily, we do not have a lot of selection outside of our brainstorms and our 1-drop search. So when you are playing a deck that is ripping cards off the top of its deck and sculpting more naturally that way, playing on a 6 or less card hand to facilitate resonates sucks, because you lose 1 card in your hand used for sculpting. So because of that, we are going to opt to play this instead, and it's really not that bad. So compared to the 4 or more resonate early play, this has the exact same condition. It is in a worse color, but again, I think the Lukua is a lot better than people give it credit for. So 8 or 9 blue there if you opt to not play the Adachi. Not really that hard to play a single early play, and it still heals, and it's even bigger in some situations. Your opponent's usually going to have 2 back row in this meta. If they don't, they are most likely going to have 1. If they don't have any back row at all, you're probably winning that game anyway, so you don't really care about that. But it's either an 8-5 to a 10-5, usually a 10-5. We tap down our Saver, that gets to 12k. If we have the Fafnir in the back row, that's 12, tap to 13, constant on our opponent's turn. So a lot better than people think. I think people were really down on this when they saw it. Why is this a double rare or whatever? And I agree, it's not the most impressive card, but it's still a lot better in that role than that Resonate card. Again, having to have that -1 hand to keep this Brainstormer that you don't want to ever field and just sit in your hand in a deck that has to sculpt off the top is just really, really bad, and it makes for really bad games. So because we are not playing the Resonate package at all, the deck runs a lot smoother. And I think when I cut the Resonate package initially, I was like, this is a really weak part of the deck, and I know it's unique Dragonmaid and it seems really cool, and playing cool cards is fun. The second I took it out, the set started to feel so much better, like a marked improvement. The second you remove the Resonate stuff, the deck plays 10 times better. So give that a try. Sleeve up the Alma. It's not as bad as you think. Getting into the top end, we are going to play the Toru burner here. It is an on-play heal. Then Climax combo. When you attack with a choice, you can do one of 2 things. You can burn 1 for free, so just Trouble Girl, that's the baseline. Or you can pay 2 and ditch a character, and then declare any number, burn your opponent for that number. Before I get into why that can be strong, let's talk about the off finisher. We're going to play 2 of this Icy Tail. On play, draw 2, ditch 1. So again, help us rip into a climax. We can either swap out or get the 1/0 event, which we can then use to go search the climax. So when we play this down, it's draw 2, ditch 1, but we have +2 quote unquote climaxes in our deck because of the event, just to make sure that we can do our combo. And then on attack, you can discard any 2 cards, mill the bottom 4 of your opponent's deck, burn them for the number of climaxes reveal. So the ideal finishing board when you're playing this deck is 1 of this Toru Icy Tail and 2 of this Toru Burner. So why not just 3 Toru Burner? Why don't we just like go balls to the wall and go out with that? Well, the thing with Icy Tail, right? The Icy Tail first, you mill off some number of climaxes, you mill off no climaxes at all. It informs your decisions on what numbers you should call, or if you should call any numbers at all with Toru. So let's say you played on your Icy Tail, you attack in with your Icy Tail first, and your opponent mills clean. Okay, so that means that we should be a little bit more conservative. This card healed us down if we played 2. So hopefully we are at 3-0. Maybe we'll be able to survive a turn because we didn't beat on our deck or stuff like that. We're in a good deck state. We're maintaining our powerful deck states that we can cancel. So we swing in, we get a burn 1, maybe we ping off a climax. Maybe we swing in for 3 or we trigger for 4 because we're playing a lot of soul triggers, and our opponent eats it. Okay, so we have a little bit more information now. Our opponent probably is going to cancel the next attack. They weren't supposed to eat that 3 or 4, so we don't spend that pay 2 ditch 1. We only burn for 1. Maybe our opponent just randomly dies and eats it, but even if they don't and they survive as they should, we have all of our resources on our follow-up turn to play more level 3s. And then we have the opposite case, right, where we played on the Toru Icy Tail. We mill out multiple climax from our opponent's deck. We mill out 1 or 2. Maybe they cancel on that. They're now out 3 climaxes on their deck immediately from our first attack. Now that gives us better information for what we should do. Maybe we swing in with our first Toru. So let's say burn for 2, put them at like a kill zone. Maybe they cancel that. They're on another climax. They swing in, they take that, and then you can really, with that last Toru, it gives you a scalpel finish where you call the exact number to murder your opponent from where they are. So because you play the Icy Tail down first, do that effect before you go into your Torus, you have more information about what you should do on your burns. It gives you that scalpel finish, extremely high precision with this combo, which is why you want to play it. Obviously, there is the meme scenario where your opponent triggers the last climax in their deck or something ridiculous. They have an unbelievable low roll. You slam down a single Toru, call 7, and they just instantly die. It has happened. It's happened to me. I've done it to people. It is funny, but it is not the normal case. It is a cool upside to the card that you can just straight out murder your opponent if they have something unlucky happen. But even in the games where things happen more normally, when you play it on the Icy Tail, it gives you more information, and then you can use the Toru to pick your opponent's deck apart in a way with your damage, where you're always swinging for exactly the right damage. You're never over swinging, and you can always ensure that your opponent dies on exact, cutting off your opponent's opportunities to cancel outside of triggers, right? Because we've always triggered climaxes over swinging. Your opponent cancels on 4 when they would have eaten it on 3, and it feels bad, but this gives you the most precision that you could possibly have if you do it after the Icy Tail, because you have the most information. Either waiting, your opponent is not likely to die, or you see that they mill out climax they shouldn't. Again, it's not uncommon that this mills out 1, cancels 1, they cancel the attack, your opponent's then out 3, they only had 5 in, they have a thick deck, you swing in, maybe you burn 1, and then they're at a situation where they're at 3-1 or something like that, and you can swing 3-3-3-3 4 times, something like that, the end game. And it's only 8 stock to do that play with 8 choice triggers, so it shouldn't be too hard. Even if you're spending stock throughout the game, do that full board. It's 8 stock because you got to play 1 of these, play 2 of these, then you have to have 2 floating before your attacks that you can over combos if you need to. But yeah, pretty high precision finish. It's really good at closing out games. It's that really good damage modulation that will always win games of Lice. No matter how power crept and stuff the game gets, damage modulation will always be an incredible tool for closing out games. 8 choices. We are going to use this to give us extra stock to continue brainstorming, maintaining our deck state, and doing our effects. Playing early plays, you don't have to feel bad about playing multiple early plays. You have a long extended level 2, you get to slam down multiple early plays every turn because you're not punished for canceling, not a 2 or less condition or something like that. You can keep slamming down Elmas, keep extending the game, healing your opponent down, pushing your opponent into mid or low level 3, because that's where Toru plus the Icy Tail is really good at finishing when your opponent is already at 3. Really good at finishing out games because of that high precision. So definitely works well for the deck. And here is the deck laid out all again. The 4 1-ofs might seem a little suspicious just because, again, we don't have a lot of high selection. So we have these 1-ofs, but again, the ones that we have at the higher level, that we can pick those off of our choice triggers. So we can pick up our Adachi, we can pick up our 2-1 Spammable Hana, we can pick up our Afnir level assist or our counters. But at level 0, these are just all very high impact, whether you draw them at any point in the game. You never feel bad about having the drop search or the pump or the Spammable or the Climax Climax Swap. Those are all totally fine cards. If you get extras on Brainstorms, they're always fine cards to pick up. So having that sort of like toolbox level 0 doesn't feel too bad, just as our normal play pattern is going to be using multiple Brainstorms most turns because we have these 8 choice triggers. We're going to be generating that extra stock more often than not because we're not going to have much trouble with hand. The Lukoa helping us fill our hand in the early game. Pretty much always going to get off multiple Torus unless things are going real bad, and you know that could happen in any Weiss deck. But we're not going to have a hand issue, so we're free to use our 8 choice triggers to generate us extra stock. And with that, I think that is it. Card games and competitive. We don't own or operate those Discords, but we are active in them. Definitely give those a look. Weiss Schwarz Global and NA if you are looking to buy, sell, and trade Weiss, as well as keep on top of new reveals that come out from JP that are community translated. Definitely give those a look as well. The translations are also available in the Discords. They're part of the day channels that are maintained by our community, so you can get that no matter which socials that you use. And if you'd like to try out Dragonmaid, you don't have your cards yet, or you just want to give it a look before you buy, you can check out weissfight.net. There is a Discord and a Patreon if you'd like to support the project. You hop over there, grab the Encore Decks link in our description, go on there, make an account. You are playing Weiss Schwarz in your browser for free with people from all over the world. A really good tool, and if you have feedback for the developer, definitely hop to the Discord or the Patreon. They are always looking to improve the project with community feedback. And with that, Pittsburgh Weiss Schwarz signing off. I'll see you guys in the next one.